to talk about the data processing engine that we're working on and that we're currently developing. So Jeff, I want to know this data processing engine. How will this break down the silos, the data silos and the department silos?
Yeah, so what we're after is being able to acquire very hard to get data that's spread across multiple applications. And what our engine can do is we have an open API that can basically talk over specified protocols like SNMP and HTTP, HTTPS areas, and pull in this data. And then we can take data from one source and join it from another hard-to-get source using common join points to create a more of a comprehensive data set.
Okay, so joining these shared data points, like what's the common denominator on this?
Typically, when we think in terms of big data, it's usually a time-based join point, meaning a point in time where the data kind of joins together. Thinking of, we put it into context, we could say external weather data and sensor readings coming from facilities. We have to be able to associate them by a common timestamp to be able to put them through some data analytics.
Okay, and these protocols you mentioned, SNMP and HTTPS, and there's others. Can we reuse these very same protocols to go acquire more data sources from different locations?
Yeah, many of the protocols are reusable, and we've been focusing on primarily SNMP and HTTPS protocols. SNMP is a very robust, mature protocol that once you've done it once correctly, you can be reused across multiple application spectrums.
Nice. Okay. So now that we acquired the data, I guess we're normalizing this, and then we are. What's the plan? Are we storing this data?
Yeah. So what our engine can do is we can normalize bad data at the acquisition source. We can normalize it at the processing point, or we can delegate normalization to the actual client. But our goal when we're acquiring this data is to really serve three purposes. The first purpose would be to feed real-time applications that need this data for reporting or monitoring purposes, to store more of a warm data that will drive reports, and more of a cold data context that will drive big data requirements.
Okay, so basically based on the data governance or the policy of an enterprise or an organization, we would follow these three, so hot, warm, and cold.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit more about the warm data for reporting. Could we call it basically data as a service type thing to visualize these process data points or information?
Yeah, so our objective with the warm data is to basically push the data into our data as a service platform and publish it in such a way that it becomes findable by either subject matter experts or people with experiences in a particular domain that need the data to fulfill their tasks that they're assigned to. With the addition of being able to take a data set and create their own custom data set by, again, joining it on a common join point with other data sets.
So we're working a little bit towards a bit of self-serving. So domain experts would go and self-serve themselves with various join different data sources and visualize what is important to solve their problem. Cool. All right. And maybe talk about a little bit of the processing, the roll-ups, or so visualizing data sets raw, but there's also applying different algorithms or based on different problems. So can you talk a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so one of our main objectives was be able to create real-time roll-ups of data that's acquired from in an Internet of Things context, meaning there's all this sensor data coming in, and using our process we can basically roll up the data at acquisition time. We can select the algorithms that we want to run the data through, produce the output or the calculation total, and then map it to a KPI for real-time monitoring or future monitoring. And again, in the data sets, all the data that's used to create the roll-up is included in the data sets. So if you need to go back in time, unwind the data and recalculate it with the new algorithm, it's all there for you.
Okay, nice. And these algorithms, are they reusable? Can a domain expert apply an algorithm, I don't know, developed for a certain problem, and a similar type of problem reoccurred, and could this algorithm be applied to different data sources to solve a similar problem type thing?
Yeah, so the domain expert can select the algorithm that they want to apply to the roll-up of data.
Okay.
All also open to third-party development, so if the third party wants to create and deploy their algorithms, we do late binding, meaning that we can just drop the source code in and then basically publish it up to the server, then make it available for selection.